Hey YouTube users, it's 159074229 coming to you with another deck profile. Since darkrai is pretty popular with everyone right now, I'm just gonna do darkrai based decks. Today's deck profile will be darkrai hydregon. Now you probably have already seen my darkrai Garbodor deck profile. This deck is a bit different. As you may know, you probably already know that. Let's just get down with the deck then. Let's start with the Pokemon lineup. I run 3 Darkrai. It's pretty much standard for almost every Darkrai Hydreigon deck. 2 Sableye. I would rather bump it up to 3 because this card can potentially get back Rare Candy if you discard it. It just makes it that good. And also, you don't have to run Zweilous in this deck because you're able to use Junk Hunt to get back the Rare Candy if you discard it using a card effect or something. I run 3 Dino. I tried 4 Dino, but it didn't work out as good. I run the one with Deep Growl because it can paralyze your opponent, potentially stall them. And I run 3 Hydreigon. Hydreigon's a pretty good card. It has a really good attack called Dragon Blast. You discard 2 energy and you can do 140, which is enough to knock out basically any stage 2 in the format. And you can use Dark Patch to put the energy back in place. So you could just Dark Trance it and keep doing this over and over again. It's just so ridiculous. I run 1 Absol. I run 1 Absol because it's like I said before in my Darkrai Garbodor video. You can use it to counter EX blocking decks, and you can use it to deal huge amounts of damage to decks that have huge numbers of bench Pokemon. So basically you're doing a lot of damage for just 2 energy cards, like I said before in my other video. I run Victini EX because Turbo Energize is really good. I use this card to counter Genesect Verzian decks. And so far it's actually worked out pretty good because one game I ended up getting 4 of my prize cards before my opponent knocked out Victini because I was able to knock out the catcher and knock out their Genesects over and over again. And plus I had Dark Trance, so if the V-piece does get discarded, I could just Dark Trance 1 blend and 2 of any other energy onto it. That's the Pokemon lineup. Now let's get to the supporters. I run 4 Juniper. You want to get those dark energies in the discard pile. Plus it's a really solid draw. I run 4 N because sometimes you may have really good resources in your hand, but you don't want to get rid of them. And it's at the beginning of the game, so you just use N. I run 2 Skyla. Skyla can pretty much help you search for a rare candy if you're missing the rare candy, or if you need a Dark Claw. It could probably search for everything but energy, but normally you don't need to search for the energy because you have enough energy. You can just draw into it most of the time without a problem. I run 1 Colress because sometimes if you're lucky you can get that full bench and you can draw crazy amounts of cards with this. I've seen some people bump it up to 2 in this particular deck build, but I decided 1 because it's really bad if you start with this card in your first hand. For the item cards, I run 4 Catcher. 4 Catcher is basically a standard for almost every deck. I'm just repeating this over and over again. I run 3 rare candy. I've seen some people run 4 just so it's so that you can get it consistently. But as long as you put a rare candy in the discard pile, if you have it and you're about to use N, you can guarantee that you can junk hunt it, and you can use it to evolve hydregon. I run 3 Ultra Ball. It's pretty good so far. Discard 2 cards. You could discard your dark energies, and you could search for a Pokemon. You can search for anything with this card. Like, if you have enough room, run 4. If you have enough room in your build, because this card can potentially help you search for, like, anything you need. And also you want one copy of this card in your discard pile, so you can junk hunt it later if a Pokemon gets knocked out, or if your Hydreigon gets knocked out. You can junk hunt Ultra Ball plus Super Rod, and you can just set up again. I run 3 Dark Patch. I would have ran 4, but I didn't have enough space. Dark Patches, I mean, by most of the time you won't need Dark Patch because you have Dark Trance. You can Dark Trance energy that's already in play, but Dark Patch is more for if you're forced to use Dragon Blast on your opponent. Then you may need the Dark Patches to bring it back, but most of the time you don't need the Dark Patches. Other than that, I run 3 Max Potion, because you could Dark Trance all the energy away, and then you can use Max Potion to heal any of your Pokemon, and then move the energy back using Hydreigon's Dark Trance. 2 Dark Claw. At first I tried 1 Dark Claw, but it didn't feel like enough because my Dark Claw would always get tool scrapped, and I would never have another one. I had the other Dark Claw, so if I do get tool scrapped, I just attach the other one. I run 2 Tool Scrapper, because Garbodor is a really huge problem. If Garbodor sets up on this deck and shuts it down, it's really bad, because this deck relies on Dark Trance a lot, and it relies on Dark Cloak to free retreat. So it can really hurt this deck if Garbodor does set up. The Tool Scrapper kind of makes it so that you can put up with that kind of matchup. I run 1 Bicycle. I run the Bicycle because you can junk hunt the Bicycle. You can just keep drawing until you have 4 in your hand, and then later on you junk hunt it, and then you just use Bicycle again and again. People say it sucks, but if you're able to junk hunt something like this, it's actually good if you're able to use a card like this over and over again. That's why I run a copy of this. I just get the kick out of it, like continuous draw support. I run 1 Silver Bangle for the Hydreigon and the Absol, because, well, basically, let's say you attach it to the Hydreigon and you use Dragon Blast. You're doing 170 damage to an EX Pokemon, and you could potentially one-shot that EX Pokemon. That's why I run this card. At first I was pretty skeptical about running it, but when I ran that deck at last week's tournament, no, not last week's tournament, 2 weeks ago, it actually helped a lot. I run 1 Switch. You have to run 1 Switch in this deck because, let's say you get poisoned. I mean, Garbodor and Poison decks are still being played, let's be honest. They are still going to be played, whether or not Virizion is around. I find this card to be better than Virizion. You could replace the Switch with a Keldeo EX with Russian or a Virizion, but I like Switch better because Switch can get you out of any situation. It can help you get out of a status condition, when Garbodor is up and running. I mean by with this deck, you don't want to rely on way too many abilities, because when you fight Garbodor, it is really gonna hurt you. Super odd. Now, I would run 2, but you don't need to, because you can like junk hunt it back into your hand over and over again. And you could play Super Rod in combination with Ultra Ball to replay everything. I run V-Piece as my A-Spec. I run V-Piece as my A-Spec because you can, let's say it's turn 1, right? You attach the Victini on turn 1. You could potentially donk a Genesect DX on the first turn, or you can use Turbo Energize on your Darkrai, so on turn 2 it's easier to set up a turn 2 Night Spear. Now, for the energy in the deck, I run... Hold on. Let's get that energy out in view. I run 7 Dark and 4 Blend as my energy for this deck. So that's basically the deck in a nutshell. And I hope you watch my other deck profiles. I'm probably going to be posting a lot more deck profiles that I've seen played a lot. And yeah, like I seen this deck being played as soon as the new format starts. And everyone wanted to play this deck, but then later on people stopped playing it slowly. Sure, the deck is kind of inconsistent at times, but if you run the right number of supporters, the deck works great, as long as you get Dark Trance set up. You probably won't even need a supporter if you get the Dark Trance set up and you got the Sableye sitting there as broken as all hell. Well, anyways, I hope you enjoyed my deck profile, and goodbye for now.